let's just jump right in with a question you've probably asked yourself at some point. Is your phone a drug? It sounds a little dramatic, sure, but the comparison feels, well, it feels pretty spot on these days, doesn't it? So for this explainer, we're going to dig in and see just how deep that rabbit hole really goes.
And this quote right here from Charlie Brooker, the creator of Black Mirror, it absolutely nails the core of our question. It's not just about whether it feels like a drug. The real question is, if it is one, what are the side effects? What is this thing actually doing to us? And look, people are not shy about using strong language for this. I mean, we're talking terms like digital heroin and electronic cocaine. That last one, digital pharmakeia, is especially interesting. It comes from this ancient Greek word that could mean both a medicine and a poison. And that just captures it perfectly, right? Our tech feels like this amazing cure for boredom, for loneliness, but it might just have a much darker, toxic side. These aren't just clickbait headlines. They point to a very real and growing concern.
Okay, so let's get into the first big piece of the puzzle, the actual case for addiction. What's the scientific evidence that suggests our phone use is more than just a bad habit, that it's a genuine, measurable dependency?
A huge part of the answer comes down to this psychological principle called variable rewards. It's a surprisingly simple idea. Our brains get way more excited by unpredictable rewards than predictable ones. You know that little rush you get when a notification pops up? You don't know if it's going to be a like, a message, or just spam. That uncertainty keeps us checking. And every check gives us a little hit of dopamine. It's literally the exact same mechanism that makes slot machines in Vegas so incredibly addictive.
And look, this isn't just some abstract concept from a psychology textbook. Researchers are seeing these exact patterns playing out right now, in the real world, with real, measurable effects on our brains and our behavior. For instance, let's look at a study that focused on students.
So, a recent study on high school students really broke this down well. It found that smartphone addiction has three main components: actual physiological effects, a clear behavioral dependence, and of course, major cognitive distraction.
So what does that actually look like in day-to-day life? Well, the physiological stuff is real physical pain. Tech snags, sore wrists, but it's also that antsy, irritable feeling you get when your phone's not around. Then there's dependence. That's the classic stuff, constantly checking notifications or looking up and realizing you've been scrolling for an hour when you meant to for 5 minutes. And finally, distraction, that feeling that you just can't focus on work or a conversation because your brain is just waiting for that next digital hit. Be honest, does any of this sound a little too familiar?
Okay, so the evidence seems pretty stacked, right? But what if we're looking at this all wrong? What if slapping the addiction label on our phones is actually a little too simple? What if the phone itself isn't the root of the problem, but just a symptom of something way, way bigger?
MIT professor Sherry Turkle offers a really interesting counterargument. She says the whole addiction model is flawed because the only real solution for addiction is to quit completely. And we're not going to quit the internet, right? So instead, she proposes a diet model. In this view, the problem isn't the tech itself, it's that our consumption habits are unhealthy. So the solution isn't quitting, it's finding a balanced, mindful way to use it. Think of it like creating a healthy media diet.
And that leads to an even deeper, maybe more uncomfortable question. Are bad habits really just a personal failing? Or is the real problem the economic system that is designing this technology to be as irresistible as possible from the get-go?
I mean, listen to this. Sean Parker, the first president of Facebook, openly admitted that the whole platform was designed by exploiting a vulnerability in human psychology. That tells you everything. The addictive nature of these apps isn't a mistake or a bug, it's a feature. It was built that way on purpose to capture our attention and ultimately make money from it.
And you can kind of see how this fits into a much bigger cultural shift, right? We've moved away from a society that was all about production and making things to one that's built on endless consumption and desire. And a system that basically runs on us always wanting more. Maybe addiction isn't a glitch in the system. Maybe it's the logical conclusion.
So, if the problem is bigger than just us and our devices, we need a whole new framework for thinking about it. And, believe it or not, a powerful answer might just come from a fascinating experiment from the 1970s involving a bunch of rats.
So here's how it worked. In one setup, you had a single rat, all alone in a boring, empty cage with nothing to do. Its only option was drug-laced water. And what happened? The rat became an addict and eventually overdosed. But then, they built what they called Rat Park. It was this big, lush enclosure with other rats to socialize with, toys, tunnels, a great place to be a rat. And in the park, they had a choice, the drug water or plain water. The result? They almost always chose the plain water. They didn't get addicted. The drug was identical. The environment changed everything.
The psychologist behind this, Bruce Alexander, came up with a theory to explain it. He said the root cause of addiction isn't the substance. It's what he called psychosocial dislocation. It's a fancy term, but it just means a deep, painful lack of connection, purpose, and community. The addiction, he argued, is just an attempt to cope with the pain of that isolation.
This forces us to turn the mirror on ourselves, doesn't it? What are our modern-day cages? Is it possible that the pressures of modern life, the constant competition, the individualism, is it creating the very social isolation that makes reaching for our phones feel like the only relief available?
All right, so where does all this leave us? If our environment, our park, is really the key, how can we start to reimagine our relationship with technology? How do we get away from this reality where it feels like a narcotic and closer to something better?
It's wild when you think about how much our vision for technology has changed. Back in the 90s, there was this cyberdelic dream. People saw computers as these amazing tools for expanding your mind, for creativity, for liberation. Fast forward to today, and we're living in what feels more like a narcotic reality, where tech is often designed to just pacify us, to keep us scrolling mindlessly.
This brings us to a really powerful concept from a totally different field, drug research. It's the idea of set and setting. What it means is that the effect of any powerful substance or tool isn't just in the tool itself. It depends on two things: your set, which is your mindset, your intention, and your setting, your physical and social environment.
So this gives us a roadmap. We can change our experience by changing our set and setting. On an individual level, you can change your set, your mindset, by using your phone with a clear intention, not just out of boredom. You can change your setting by turning off all those non-essential notifications. But the real, lasting solution has to be collective. It means demanding that companies build technology that empowers us instead of addicting us. And maybe, most importantly, it means putting energy into building those strong, real-world communities, into building a better park for everyone.
So here it is, the final takeaway. Escaping the trap of the digital drug isn't just about individual willpower or changing your habits. That's like telling the rat in the cage to just say no. The real work is in changing the environment, the park, that makes the escape so tempting in the first place. So the question we're left with is, how do we start?